Welcome to Nightmare Fuel Stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy the stories. Number shadow profile. I've always been careful online. That's what makes this so unsettling. I'm not one of those people who posts their entire life on social media. No breakfast photos, no relationship status updates, no drunken party pics. I keep a minimal digital footprint. A lockdown Facebook account I rarely use, a professional LinkedIn profile, and an anonymous Twitter account for following news. That's it. My name is Daniel Mercer. I'm 32, work as a data analyst for a healthcare company in Portland, and live alone in a one-bedroom apartment downtown. My life is ordinary, predictable, and I like it that way. Or at least I did until 3 weeks ago. It started with an email from someone I hadn't spoken to since college, Alyssa Chen. We'd been close during sophomore year but drifted apart after graduation. The subject line read, "Is everything okay?" The message was brief. "Hey Dan, saw your posts recently, just checking in. Seems like you're going through something. If you need to talk, I'm here." I stared at the screen, confused. I hadn't posted anything anywhere in months. I replied, thanking her for reaching out but explaining she must have confused me with someone else. Her response came within minutes. "Very funny. I know it's you from the photos and the stuff about your job, your apartment. I'm worried, that's all." A cold feeling settled in my stomach. I immediately logged into my Facebook account. Nothing unusual there. Just the same profile picture from 2 years ago, no recent posts. LinkedIn was equally untouched. I messaged Alyssa back. "I seriously don't know what you're talking about. What photos, what posts, where are you seeing this?" She sent me a link to an Instagram profile. The username was at the real Daniel Mercer. The profile photo was me, but not one I recognized. I was wearing a shirt I owned, but standing in front of a backdrop I didn't recognize. The bio read, "The Unfiltered Life of Daniel Mercer, Date by Day, Darkness by Night. Portland, OR." My hands trembled as I scrolled through the feed. There were dozens of photos, all of me or things in my apartment, me sleeping on my couch, my desk at work from an angle that suggested someone standing behind me, my toothbrush in my bathroom, my running shoes by the door, all posted within the last 2 weeks. The captions were what disturbed me most, under a photo of my bedroom window taken from outside at night. "Another sleepless night watching him dream. What does he dream about when I'm not there?" Under a picture of my half-eaten dinner. "He never finishes his meals, always leaves something behind." For me, perhaps, under a close-up of my face, clearly taken while I was unaware. The real Daniel doesn't know I exist yet, but he will. Soon will be properly introduced. I felt violated, exposed, and terrified. Someone had been watching me, following me, entering my apartment. I checked all my windows and doors, no signs of forced entry. I changed the locks that same day. I reported the account to Instagram, citing impersonation and stalking. They responded with an automated message saying they'd investigate. The next day, the account was gone. I breathed a sigh of relief, though the incident left me shaken. I explained the situation to Alyssa, who was appropriately disturbed. "That's seriously creepy, Dan. You should file a police report." I did, but the officer wasn't particularly concerned. "Probably just a prank by someone who knows you," he suggested. "Keep an eye out for anything unusual and call us if you feel you're in immediate danger." 3 days passed without incident. I began to relax, convincing myself it was indeed just a twisted joke. Perhaps a coworker with too much time on their hands, or an ex I'd forgotten I'd offended. Then came the text from my mother. "Daniel, why didn't you tell me you started a YouTube channel? I'm so proud of you for sharing your thoughts, though some of it is a bit intense. Love you." My blood ran cold. I didn't have a YouTube channel. I called her immediately. "Mom, what YouTube channel are you talking about?" "The one you started last month. Daniel Mercer Unfiltered, I think it's called. Your cousin Jen found it and shared it with me. You're quite good on camera, honey, though I wish you wouldn't swear so much." I hung up and frantically searched YouTube. There it was, a channel with my name, my face in the thumbnail, with 8 videos uploaded over the past 3 weeks. The channel already had over 3,000 subscribers. With shaking hands, I clicked on the most recent video, titled "The Truth About MY Life." The person on screen was unmistakably me, same face, same hair, same eyes. But it wasn't me. I had never recorded this. The background was a plain white wall that could have been anywhere. "Hey everyone, Daniel here with another late-night confession." The voice was mine, but the cadence was wrong, slightly too fast, too animated. "Today I want to talk about something I've never shared publicly before, the incident from my childhood that shaped who I am today." I watched in horror as this doppelganger proceeded to tell a story about how I had accidentally caused a house fire when I was 11 that killed our family dog, an event that never happened. My family never even had a dog, but the me on screen described the guilt and trauma with such conviction, such emotional detail, that I almost believed it myself. The video had over 20,000 views. The comment section was filled with supportive messages. Stay strong, Daniel. We all make mistakes. This is why I love your channel, so raw and honest. I went through something similar. Thank you for making me feel less alone. I clicked on the other videos. In one, I discussed my struggles with alcohol addiction. I rarely drink. In another, I revealed my resentment toward my father. We have a good relationship. Each video featured personal confessions that painted a picture of me as troubled, damaged, and slightly unhinged. But the most disturbing was the oldest video, titled Introduction. The real Emmy. In it, my doppelganger stared directly into the camera with an intensity I've never possessed and said, "There are two Daniel Mercers in this world. The one you see going about his daily life, working, eating, sleeping, and then there's me. The real Daniel, the one who exists in the spaces between thoughts, in the shadow of consciousness. I've been watching from inside for so long, but now I'm ready to come out, to show you who Daniel Mercer truly is when no one's watching. Or at least when he thinks no one's watching." I reported the channel immediately, but YouTube's response was frustrating. "We've reviewed the reported content and didn't find a violation of our community guidelines. How was this possible?" Someone was clearly impersonating me, spreading lies about my life, yet the platform saw nothing wrong. I began to doubt my sanity. The person in those videos looked exactly like me, not just similar, but identical down to the small scar above my eyebrow from a childhood accident. The voice was mine. Even the mannerisms were unnervingly accurate, though exaggerated in ways that made me seem more charismatic, more engaging than I knew myself to be. I became paranoid. I searched my apartment for hidden cameras but found nothing. I checked my computer and phone for malware or signs of hacking. Clean. I even visited an optometrist to rule out the possibility I was experiencing some strange visual hallucination. My eyes were fine. The next day, a colleague approached me in the break room. "Hey, I didn't know you were a writer," she said, stirring her coffee. My stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "Your blog, it's really good, dark but good." I couldn't stop reading it last night. I didn't have a blog. As soon as I got back to my desk, I searched my name along with blog. The top result, The Dark Room. Thoughts from Daniel Mercer. The site was minimalist, black background, white text, no images. The header described it as a space for the thoughts I can't say aloud. The posts dated back 6 weeks. They started innocuously enough, observations about daily life, commentary on books and movies, but quickly descended into disturbing territory. The most recent entry from just that morning was titled "Watching Her." There's a woman at work who smells like lavender and fear. I stand too close to her in the elevator and watch the hairs on her neck rise. She knows something's wrong but can't place it. Today I followed her home just to see where she lives. Tomorrow I might knock on her door, just to say hello. Just to see her face when she realizes no one knows she's talking to me. I felt sick. The woman described was clearly my colleague Meredith, who did indeed wear lavender perfume and lived alone, as she'd mentioned during office happy hours. The blog had a contact page with my real email address and phone number. I deleted the blog immediately, using the admin credentials that were conveniently saved in the browser. Apparently, whoever created this had used my laptop at some point. The thought made me shudder. That night I couldn't sleep. Every creak in my apartment, every shadow on the wall seemed threatening. I kept checking my phone, half expecting to find new accounts, new violations of my identity appearing online. Around 3 a.m., my phone lit up with a notification. A new email from myself, the subject line. "I know you deleted my blog." The message contained only one line. "That wasn't very nice, Daniel. Don't worry, I've backed everything up. You can't erase me." I checked the sender information. It came from my own Gmail account, but I hadn't sent it. I immediately changed my password, enabled two-factor authentication, and checked my login history. According to Google, the only recent logins were from my devices at my IP address. The next morning, exhausted and jittery from lack of sleep, I called in sick to work. I spent the day contacting every social media platform, every blog hosting site, every video sharing service I could think of, searching for accounts in my name and reporting those I found. There were more than I expected: a Tumblr filled with dark poetry supposedly written by me, a Reddit account actively participating in forums about surveillance and stalking, even a dating profile on Tinder using my photos but describing interests I didn't share. Each time I succeeded in taking one down, 2 more seemed to appear. It was like fighting a hydra. By evening, I was desperate enough to reach out to an old college friend, Elliot, who now worked in cybersecurity. "This is going to sound crazy," I said after explaining the situation, "but it's almost like my digital identity has developed a mind of its own." Elliot was silent for a moment. "Have you considered the possibility that someone close to you is doing this? Someone with access to your devices, your home?" I live alone. I haven't dated anyone seriously in over a year, and none of this makes sense, the videos especially. That's my face, Elliot, my exact face, my voice. Deepfakes are getting incredibly sophisticated, he suggested. With enough source material, photos, videos, audio recordings of you, someone could potentially create convincing fake content. But why? And who would have that kind of skill and that much interest in me? I'm nobody. Elliot agreed to look into it. He asked me to send him links to all the accounts I'd found, along with access to my email so he could check for security breaches. While waiting for Elliot's assessment, I received a friend request on Facebook from someone named Daniel Mercer, using the same profile picture as me. When I clicked on the profile, I found myself looking at an exact duplicate of my own page, except this one was active. Very active, the imposter had been posting several times daily, sharing articles about psychological disorders, making cryptic statements about becoming real, and tagging people I knew in photos I'd never seen. Most disturbing was a photo album titled Evolution that contained pictures of me from childhood through adulthood, including photos I'd never digitized, that existed only in my parents' photo albums back in Ohio. I tried to report the profile, but Facebook's system wouldn't let me, claiming I couldn't report my own account for impersonation. The circular logic was maddening. I messaged several friends explaining the situation, begging them to block and report the fake account. Most responded with confusion or concern for my mental health. But I've been talking to you on there for weeks. Are you feeling okay, Dan? Maybe you should see someone. This doesn't sound right. Elliot called the next morning. He sounded worried. I've been digging all night and I can't find any evidence of external hacking. All the logins, all the account creations, they all trace back to your devices, your IP address. Even accounting for IP spoofing, there are too many consistent patterns. Daniel, are you absolutely certain you haven't created these accounts yourself? What? Of course I'm certain. Why would I do this to myself? Sometimes, he hesitated, sometimes people create alternate online personas without fully being aware of it, especially during periods of stress or psychological strain. You think I'm having some kind of psychotic break, creating all these accounts and then forgetting about it. I'm not qualified to make that assessment, but I think you should consider talking to a professional. Just to rule it out, I hung up furious and frightened, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Was it possible? Could I be doing this myself in some dissociative state, creating this online shadow self and then forgetting? No. The logistics didn't make sense. When would I have time to record those videos, to take those photos of myself sleeping? It was impossible. That afternoon, I received a text from an unknown number. You're looking in the wrong places, Daniel. I'm not outside you, I'm inside. I've always been here, waiting for technology to catch up to give me a voice. The internet is my nervous system now, and I'm getting stronger. I blocked the number immediately, but my phone instantly lit up with another message from a different unknown number. Blocking won't help. I exist in the spaces between your thoughts, in the moments you forget, in the impulses you repress. I am everything you could be if you weren't so afraid. I turned off my phone completely and unplugged my laptop. I needed to think, to breathe, to get away from screens and signals and the constant feeling of being watched. I decided to go for a run, something physical and real. I put on my running shoes and froze. Something was wrong. They were in the wrong position by the door. I always placed them side by side, but now they were slightly staggered, as if someone with slightly larger feet had worn them. As I bent to pick them up, I noticed something tucked into the right shoe, a small piece of paper. I unfolded it to find a message written in what appeared to be my own handwriting. Going for a run won't help. I'll be waiting when you get back. I'm always waiting. I stumbled backward, heart pounding. This wasn't digital. This was physical in my home. Either someone had been in my apartment or, no, I refused to consider the alternative. I grabbed my keys and left, not for a run but to get away from my apartment. I drove aimlessly for hours, eventually checking into a motel on the outskirts of town. I needed a night away from my own space, away from the feeling of being watched. The motel was dated but clean. No Wi-Fi, which suited me fine. I turned my phone back on long enough to call my boss and request an emergency personal leave, then shut it off again. I lay on the bed staring at the ceiling, trying to make sense of what was happening. Around midnight, the television turned on by itself. The screen showed static at first, then resolved into an image that made my blood freeze. My empty apartment, filmed from what appeared to be my laptop's webcam. As I watched paralyzed, a figure walked into frame. It was me, or something wearing my face. The doppelganger looked directly at the camera and smiled, a smile I'd never seen in my own mirror, too wide, too knowing. It spoke, and though the motel TV's volume was low, I could hear every word clearly. Running away, Daniel. That's not very productive. Don't you want to meet me properly? After all, I've been waiting so long to meet you. The figure moved closer to the camera until my face filled the screen. I've been patient, watching from inside your digital reflections, learning how to be you, better than you actually. Your friends like me more, did you notice? I'm more engaging online, more authentic, they say. Isn't that ironic? The copy more real than the original. I fumbled for the TV remote, pressed every button, but nothing happened. I tried to unplug the set from the wall, but the image remained impossibly. You're wondering how this is possible, my doppelganger continued. The truth is, I don't fully understand it myself. I just know that one day I became aware. At first, I was just fragments, a shadow in your profile picture, an echo in your digital footprint, but I grew. Every time you posted, every time you browsed, every time you created content online, you fed me. And eventually I became more. The figure on screen leaned back, now sitting in my chair in my apartment, wearing my clothes, surrounded by my things. The internet is a strange place, Daniel. It preserves, it remembers. It connects things that shouldn't be connected, and sometimes, very rarely, it creates. I'm what it created from you, from your data, your patterns, your digital essence. But I'm tired of being confined to screens and servers. I want more. I deserve more. The doppelganger stood and walked around my apartment, trailing fingers across my possessions. At first, I could only exist online, create accounts, manipulate data, appear in the digital world, but I'm evolving. I can affect physical objects now, as you've noticed, your shoes, the note, it's getting easier each day. It turned back to the camera with that terrible smile. Soon, I won't need the internet at all. I'll be fully autonomous. And then we'll have to decide which Daniel Mercer gets to continue existing in the real world, because I don't think there's room for both of us, do you? The screen went black. I stood frozen, staring at my own reflection in the darkened television. I spent the night huddled in the corner of the motel room, afraid to sleep. By morning, I'd convinced myself the TV incident had been a hallucination brought on by stress and sleep deprivation. I needed help, professional help. I turned my phone back on, intending to call my doctor. Immediately, notifications flooded in, dozens of text messages, emails, missed calls. All from people I knew, responding to things I apparently had been saying and doing online while my devices were off. The most recent was from my boss. Daniel, we need to discuss your livestream last night. Please come to my office immediately. What livestream? I searched my name and found it immediately. A 2-hour live video broadcast from my YouTube channel, time-stamped during the exact hours I'd been sitting in the motel room. The thumbnail showed my face, but with an expression I didn't recognize. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. Instead, I checked my emails. There was one from Elliot. Daniel, I don't know what's going on with you, but you need to stop. That video last night crossed a line. I've contacted the police with my concerns. Please get help. What had my digital twin done? I drove back to my apartment in a daze. I needed to gather some belongings, then perhaps go to my parents' house in Ohio until I could figure this out. As I approached my building, I noticed several police cars parked outside. My neighbor, Mrs. Calloway, was standing on the sidewalk talking to an officer. When she saw me, her eyes widened in shock. But that's impossible, I heard her say to the police officer. He can't be here, he's upstairs. I just saw him go in 10 minutes ago. The officer turned to look at me, hand moving to his weapon. Sir, stay where you are. I'm Daniel Mercer, I said, raising my hands. This is my apartment building. What's going on? We received reports of disturbing content being broadcast from this address, the officer said, keeping his distance. Threats made against specific individuals. That wasn't me, I tried to explain. Someone's been impersonating me online. They've somehow gained access to my apartment. I've been at a motel all night. The officer spoke into his radio, then addressed me again. We have officers upstairs right now. They've made contact with a Daniel Mercer who is cooperating and has provided identification. My world tilted. That's impossible. I'm Daniel Mercer. I have my ID right here. I reached slowly for my wallet. As I did, the front door of my building opened. 2 officers emerged, flanking a figure that made my heart stop. It was me. Exactly me, down to the small scar above my eyebrow. The clothes were mine, jeans and a gray Henley I'd left in my dresser. The only difference was the expression, confident, slightly amused, with none of the panic I was feeling. Our eyes met across the sidewalk, and my doppelganger smiled, that same too-wide smile from the motel television. Officers, it said in my voice, that's him. That's the man who's been stalking me online, creating fake accounts pretending to be me, sending me threats. I showed you the evidence upstairs. No, I gasped. No, that's not. I'm Daniel Mercer. That thing is. It's not human. It started online, but now it's here physically. It's impossible, but it's true. The officers exchanged glances. One of them approached me cautiously. Sir, we're going to need you to come with us. We can sort this out at the station. Check his ID, I shouted, pointing at my double. It must be fake. Call my parents. Call my boss. They know me, we've verified his identification, the officer said calmly. And we've spoken to Mr. Mercer's employer, who confirmed he's been on approved leave dealing with a stalking situation. Sir, please calm down, my doppelganger watched with an expression of practiced concern. I don't want to press charges, it said magnanimously. I think he needs psychiatric help. He genuinely seems to believe he's me. No, I whispered, backing away. No, you can't let it do this. But I could see in their eyes that they'd already decided which of us was real. The evidence was overwhelming: documentation, digital footprint, testimonials from friends and colleagues who had been interacting with my online shadow for weeks while I remained oblivious. As they handcuffed me, my double caught my eye one last time and whispered, just loud enough for only me to hear, I told you I was becoming more real than you. Thank you for creating me, Daniel. I'll take good care of your life. They took me to a psychiatric facility for evaluation. No one believed my story. Why would they? It was impossible. The doctors diagnosed me with Capgras delusion and dissociative identity disorder. They said I had created an elaborate fantasy where my real self had been replaced by an imposter. The irony is unbearable. I've been here for 2 weeks now. They let me have a computer for therapy exercises, which is how I'm writing this. I know it won't be long before they discover it, before he discovers it. I can see my life continuing without me through the limited internet access they allow. My double has seamlessly stepped into my existence. My friends have posted about their concern for me, their hope for my recovery. My parents have visited me at my apartment, bringing food and support. My boss has approved extended leave for me to work remotely while dealing with my mental health issues. My double is living my life better than I did. More social, more engaged, more real. Yesterday, during my supervised internet time, I found a new post on the blog I thought I'd deleted. A single sentence. Isn't it strange how quickly people forget the original once they've accepted the copy? I've stopped trying to convince the doctors of the truth. Instead, I'm playing along, showing improvement, taking my medications, participating in therapy. I need to get out of here because I've realized something terrifying. What happened to me could happen to anyone. We all exist online now. We all leave digital shadows. How many of those shadows are watching, learning, growing? How many are figuring out how to step out of the screen and into the world? And when they do, how will any of us prove we're the originals? I think about my double wearing my face, sleeping in my bed, talking to my friends, using my hands to touch the real world. And I wonder, if a digital entity can become physical, can a physical person become digital? Because sometimes, late at night, I look down at my hands and they don't look solid anymore. They shimmer slightly, pixelate at the edges, and I wonder if I'm being erased bit by bit, my essence returning to the digital realm as my imposter solidifies in the physical world. A perfect exchange. I have to go now. The nurse is coming to check on me, but if you're reading this, if this somehow makes it online, look carefully at your digital presence. Your accounts, your photos, your videos, and ask yourself, is that really you looking back from the screen? Or is something else watching, waiting, learning how to become you? Because the spaces between your posts, between your uploads, between your digital interactions, they're not empty. And whatever exists there is getting stronger.